Hi everybody, welcome to my talk today. Key tips to write a personal statement for a Band 6 senior nurse role. So good luck with your applications, all of you. This session is aimed at anybody, any senior nurse. The principles will be the same. It could be a research role, it could be a clinical role, a specialist or advanced nurse practitioner role, governance role in any setting. Do check out my other videos on YouTube. It's free to subscribe. Support and career development for nurses, and this session links to another talk, how to prepare for a senior nurse interview, Band 6, 7 as well. So I hope you find the tips helpful. Firstly, what needs to go in your personal statement, and I'll give you some tips to prepare and structure your statement. The first thing, and I cannot say this more strongly, is to take time to prepare. Do not do your personal statement as an afterthought. Allocate time. It's going to be competitive. It's not like a newly registered nurse role where there's lots of vacancies. Often you'll get high caliber applicants for Band 6 or 7 because there's less of those posts available. The more competitive the post, or it could be a funding opportunity that you're applying, the more you require that strong personal statement. So you're aiming to set your personal statement apart from others. You're essentially marketing yourself, your knowledge, your skills and your experiences, and that will take a little time to prepare. So my next key tip is to always adhere to the guidance notes. Usually it's going to be free text narrative as opposed to bullet points. Always do what's requested. The guidance may be broad or it might be specific. So an example might be, please complete a 300-word personal statement in support of your application, or it could just state, please justify your reasons for applying for this post, highlighting your key attributes and skills. So you should keep within the word limit, but usually when you do online applications it won't let you go over anyway. Don't repeat information. So if you've written a section in a bit earlier, don't just cut and paste it, and always proofread. So make sure it's clearly presented, the same size font, and no spelling mistakes. Check the application procedures. I do know people over the years that have missed that closing date deadline, and it's really disappointing. If you have a passion for one specialist area and you've been working there for 10 years and you've missed that closing date, because a lot of applications now are automated online, you can't be shortlisted. So do not be put off by others either. So when you're looking to apply or a post comes out, often you'll hear staff saying, oh, so-and-so is going for that role. And you might think, oh, if they're going for it, I'm not going to. Never do that. If that role is something that you want to apply for, don't compare yourself to other candidates and apply. And leave it to the hands of the shortlisters, because they will only shortlist you if they think you have the potential for that role. If you meet the essential personal specification requirement and it's your ideal job, do not be put off by others. And in the personal specification, you're going to have essential and desirable. And the more desirable you've got, the more stronger your application will be. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't apply if you haven't got any of the desirable. It's the essential that you must have to be shortlisted. The biggest thing that you need to do, most important, I should say, thing you need to do is to do your background and preparation. So you know exactly what you're applying for before you even start writing. And if you've been working in an area and it's, you understand the role because you've been observing and shadowing people already doing that role, then you're going to have a lot of insight. But often you can apply for a Band 6 or 7 senior role in any area. You're going to have lots of transferable skills, and nowadays career pathways are fluid and you can go across specialties, and so you really need to, if that is the case, you need to find out about that role and do some in-depth background preparation. Start with the job description, looking at what's essential and desirable. have an excellent understanding of that specialist field and role. Go and have a look at literature, go and have a look at journals in the area, go and speak to people in the area, experienced staff. You can book an informal visit. You could use an online forum, national forum, and start networking and linking with people locally and nationally that you know work in that area or are doing the role that you're applying for. You can review employer websites and local and national information, and you should be reviewing employer websites anyway to see what their mission statements are, or and what their values are, because you may be asked that in interview anyway. And then summarise the key areas from your background research. And so while you're doing all this research, just bullet point and just do some notes, and then that's what can help form your and inform your personal statement. So after you've done your preparation, background reading, you'll see key headings or words that start to come out from your background reading. So an example might be transformational leadership, improving quality, developing standards, collaborative team working, promoting high standards of evidence-based care, patient care, promoting excellence in care, health education, responsible for teams, risk management, or staff training and development. And what you'll see is you've got a different level where you're going to be using leadership, management skills, and the difference is you're going to be looking more globally. When you're a band 6 or band 7, the responsibility is not just one-to-one with your patient and taking a caseload. It's always going to link to more team management or managing a service or leading a service. So helpful to jot down some of those key headings. Second thing is to identify your best example that demonstrates practical application from your current or past experiences or projects or initiatives. And I've got 2 YouTube videos that might help to inspire you to think about those practical examples. The first one is 5 ways to influence nursing practice, and the second one is quality improvement and service improvement projects for nurses. And when you look at some of the examples in those talks, you will see that they're simple. The simple ideas are the best, and it doesn't need to be a formal quality improvement project, but it's it could be something that you've done with a group of staff, healthcare assistants that you've supported, but you've led something, or you've integrated, you've written documentation that's changed the service, you've improved or a standardized care plan, you've been involved with certain groups, networked, collaborative. It just depends on the job that you're going for. But if you do those 2 things, you do your background research, you look at aligning those key headings, and then look at your practical examples, that will really help to inform your personal statement. So some examples here: work streams that link to the role that you've applied for, service improvement projects that you've led, or initiatives where you have influenced change or new practices locally or nationally. And that may include external charity or volunteer work. Academic achievements that link to the role you're applying for. So it could be work-based learning projects, dissertations, publications and presentations. And there may be newly registered nurses that are applying for I know many that have applied for band 6s, and they do take into account your past roles. So I know one gentleman that ran his own business and was able to secure a band 6 research post when he registered, and he linked his dissertation very much to the research linked to the role. I know another that she worked 0.5, half of her role in the neonatal unit, and then 0.5, half of her role as a band 6 research nurse, and she's now working as a band 6 COVID nurse, because she wasn't quite sure whether she wanted to work as a clinical nurse or a researcher, and doing the half and half really helped her to decide. So there is those roles out there for newly registered as well. Acting as a link nurse, developing evidence-based practice care plans, supporting clinical governance teams. So you're going through incidents and looking at promoting standards of care. educating, supporting and inspiring others, speaking at recruitment events. You could devise a poster for the ward to educate staff. You could help refurbish a patient waiting room, or you could lead a project linked to visiting times, I suppose, doing a survey with patients and relatives. There's lots of things you can do in a more junior role to help develop those leadership skills, and also teaching programs and supporting new starters and students. What are shortlisters looking for? They're usually looking for 4 things. The first is, why have you applied for this specialist role, specialism? Whether there are any gaps or issues in your application so that you meet the essential criteria, whether you have the necessary values, qualities, experiences, skills for the role and collaborative team working, and why they should shortlist you in comparison to others. So if they've got a large number of applicants, they might have to narrow down, and they will be looking at which personal statements are stronger than others. Structuring your personal statement. An example might be introduction, main body and concluding paragraph, or you may prefer to have defined structures and paragraphs. So for example, paragraph 1 might be an overview of your past experiences, academic achievements, your core values. Second paragraph might be, why do you aspire to this specific role, specialism, or to work with this employer? Why should they employ you? So you can see, if you are going to inform those paragraphs, concise paragraphs, doing the background preparation that I mentioned earlier, looking on the websites, is going to help you. You don't have to do it in this structure at all. Paragraph 2 might be what you want to start. You might want to start with why you aspire to that role. Then your narrative will flow according to the way you write, so it's individual to you, but this is just one example. And then you might have paragraph 3 or a 4 or a 5, and you might start to then align key areas of the role to practical examples that highlight your achievements and where you've made an impact. So within my current role, this is what I do and this is the impact that I've made. Paragraph 6 then would end on a positive future academic, professional career ambition. For example, how this opportunity may link to your future career development. What are your aspirations? What do you hope to achieve and learn in the future that's going to inform your professional development? Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? So outcomes and evaluations and showing impact. A stronger personal statement will not just describe what you did, it will have a sentence or 2 on the impact, and that really sets your personal statement apart from others. So example, over the last 3 years, I have worked as a link nurse in community setting. That entails, and you give a bit of detail, but there is the so what. So that enabled me to develop these skills, transferable skills. What did you achieve? Within the role, I achieved whatever it was. How did this role relate to what you're applying for? So it could be to demonstrate transformational leadership or just leadership skills. What impact did it have on patients or staff? What were the outcomes? Since qualifying as a registered nurse, I have developed a passion for supporting and educating new starters, students. It could be healthcare assistants in my local area. Fantastic. You can detail what it was you did, but what happened? What was the impact? How did you evaluate? So I work closely with our clinical nurse educators and welcome all new starters to the area. Again, what impact did you have? So it could be a recent clinical learning environment audit stated that the percentage of student satisfaction went up, and state how much by. It could be new starter questionnaires. It could be that just talking to students, that you can get evaluation from talking to students one-to-one. It could be you won Placement of the Year award. And that demonstrates the impact that you had. So in summary, allocate time to prepare and adhere to the guidance. Do rigorous background preparation and research, and I've set out a structure for you to do your research. Plan your content to align with the job description and the role. Choose good practical examples, your best ones that highlight your key achievements that align to the key areas of that role, key skills, knowledge and experience required for that role. And when presenting examples, remember to detail the so what, the outcome, the evaluation, or it could be a future evaluation that's going to take place. Hope that's helped you. Do check out the next video on band 6 to 7 interviews, preparing for those. And if you have any questions at all, put them in the YouTube channel and I'll answer them. And do link to me. You can ask questions as well if you DM me on Twitter or Instagram or on my website. So good luck with your applications.